Welcome everyone. Just slowly letting people in here. We'll get started in just a minute or so here because I know people are slowly trickling in. All right, maybe about one more minute, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, we'll get started in one more minute. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Obviously, if other people would like to join, they can kind of trickle in as we're going along. Just so everyone's aware, this session is being recorded, just in case anyone is interested that can't make it today. And I will be sending out this recording, hopefully to all of you. So in case you have any other colleagues that would like to check it out, hopefully we'll have this posted on the website as well. All right, welcome everyone to the program overview for the Scholastic Fellow Program. And really quickly, my name is Jarrell Batak, the Curriculum Specialist and Esports Scholastic Instructional Coach for both the Orange County Department of Education and the North America Scholastic Esports Federation. A lot of words for a lot of different things there. All right, and a quick little shout out. We do have Samantha Anton, our Chief Operating Officer, in the chat. So feel free if you have any questions or as we're going along through this presentation, feel free to type in the chat and Sam will get right to it. So I know most of you have kind of engaged with NASEF one way or another, but just for those of you that don't know, NASEF ultimately is an organization that is working hard to provide opportunities for young people to build 21st century learning skills through the lens of Scholastic Esports. And we really see the benefit of this sort of game-based learning approach in really engaging students where they are. And ultimately, we are a interinstitutional network of partners that are working together to provide these opportunities for young people. So you can see here all of those amazing organizations, again, working in partnership to make these things happen. So quick rundown for today. We're going to be spending in the next, I'd say, 30 minutes or so, really overviewing all the aspects of the program, diving into a little bit about the curriculum, some of the benefits, responsibilities, and requirements, a little sort of draft of the timeline of events for the program. We are joined here with one of our Scholastic Fellow Alumni, Jean Kavanaugh, who will be speaking about her experience. And then next steps to becoming a Scholastic Fellow. And there will be some time at the end in case any of you have any questions regarding the program or regarding anything else. All right. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So what is the Scholastic Fellow Program? Essentially, it's basically just a professional learning community. And through that community, we have Scholastic mentors who will also support the learning, as well as I really supporting your growth within Scholastic Esports. Now, there are also the NASEF Curriculum, as well as multiple tools and resources that will be provided to you to ensure your success as you move forward with your program. And at the end of the program, there is a $2,000 stipend upon completion for continuing your efforts in esports in education. Now, who can apply? This is open to all middle school, high school, and community-based organization educators. So you don't necessarily have to be a credentialed teacher in school. In schools, you can also be as part of like a after-school program or out-of-school time program as well. We did have a few fellows that were part of that sort of community and also found success through them. Now, really quickly, the selection process consists of sort of 4 things, really. The online application, a letter of support from your admin, and this can be executive director or principal of your school. There's a Flipgrid introduction video, and then a follow-up virtual interview as we're going through that selection process. The deadline for applying is July 31st, so that's the end of the month here. And then once you're selected, there will be a kickoff meeting happening in September, and that's TBD because that's going to be based on sort of everyone's schedule. And then an 8-month sort of program from October to June. Now from there, you'll gain access to NASEF's integrated curriculum, and a lot of the curriculum is A through G California approved. And then there are also courses that were developed by Scholastic Fellow Alumni during their participation in the program. So specifically for middle school, there's a 9-week and 12-week esports course. For high school, there's the bread and butter of NASEF, the ELA curriculum that mixes in sort of esports ecosystem careers with ELA. And then for career tech, we do have our CTE pathway grids, which serve as sort of a basis for you to design a potential CTE pathway with your program. And then we do have a 9-week sort of modified esports course for community-based organizations. Now, why would you want to join this program? I think for me, what I've seen is it's really bringing in pioneering educators such as yourselves that are working together to really build Scholastic Esports in your community. And I'm sure many of you, are operating probably in isolation, right? You're probably one of the first educators to really step into the space. So really this community provides you with access to other educators that are ultimately building their programs as well. So we have our monthly virtual meetings, which are about an hour, and we meet kind of virtually through Zoom or GoToMeeting, sharing our successes, challenges, and best practices around implementing our programs. We do have a Flipgrid and Discord community. The Flipgrid is a great space to kind of share all of your work asynchronously beyond the monthly synchronous virtual meetings. And then there are multiple opportunities to collaborate. As part of the program, you'll also have access to NASEF Scholastic Mentors who are Scholastic Fellow Alumni from the previous year, as well as I, to help support you in developing and implementing your lesson plans. You'll be able to utilize the NASEF curriculum as a basis to develop your program, as well as all of the curriculum modules that the Scholastic Fellows have developed. There will be opportunities to also connect with UCI's Connected Learning Lab in some of their research in gaming and education. And so speaking about Flipgrid, again, ultimately, this is a very elite group of educators that are pioneering Scholastic Esports. So the Flipgrid, the Discord, as well as the monthly virtual meetings are an opportunity to share what's happening in your programs. And I think some of the beauty that we've seen is really that exchange of ideas, right? No one really has the answers to how Scholastic Esports works. So by getting everyone together in the same room, we're able to exchange a lot of these different ideas and really help enrich each other's programs. Other benefits for the program include really just supporting you in growing Scholastic Esports in your community. And this could be anything from supporting you in creating a showcase, as well as promoting your program specifically, as well as really lifting your work up and using NASEF as a platform to celebrate that work. So this can be anything from presenting at conferences, we're willing to support you through that process, as well as featuring you on either the NASEF website, social media, as well as multiple events that kind of happen throughout the year. And then again, at the end of the program, there is a $2,000 stipend to support you in your esports and learning efforts. Now, again, the beauty of this group is really that opportunity for creative collaboration. As you all have experienced with the current pandemic that has been going on, many of us have shifted into this distant learning model, and Scholastic Esports is not, I'd say invincible to this, right? So a lot of them being interrupted by COVID-19, were really struggling to find an opportunity to reconnect with their students. And 3 of our Scholastic Fellows here, one of them, JD Williams, started a community game night with his group of students. And as he started to share his best practice in implementing this, 2 of the other Scholastic Fellows also joined him and brought their communities together. So again, a great example of different ways that we can creatively collaborate in this group. In terms of responsibilities, I think ultimately it's really about what you're contributing back to the community. And the biggest thing that we've seen thus far is the curriculum modules. Again, you can take the pre-existing NASEF integrated curriculum, kind of remix it, kind of find your ideas, find your strengths, and blend it with what you already have going on with your program. And through that process of planning and creating these lesson plans, we really want to take the work that you're doing and provide it as a resource for other educators, to tap into for inspiration, as well as provide a sort of foundation for them to build their programs off of. And you'll see here that there is a capstone project, and this could be anything, that can be an in-person sort of tournament, a virtual showcase, or something similar to what the other fellows did with their Twitch stream, a community game night. This can really be sort of your culmination of all the work that you've done over the course of the year. And at the end of it, there are going to be some evaluations that we ask you to fill out. But for the most part, I think the biggest output would be the work that you're doing with the curriculum modules. And as I mentioned before, these curriculum modules will serve as a basis for other programs to play off of. So you all will have an opportunity to engage with the work that the previous Scholastic Fellows did with their programs. And you'll see here a list of different things that they put together. In middle school, there were different programs engaging with the esports ecosystem, with engaging with the careers. In high school, there's very unique blends of ELA. I believe there's even one in there around blending social science with video game culture. And then there are also Scholastic Fellows that have implemented CTE pathways. So a great example would be Renee Barge, who created, who basically blended Scholastic Esports with his pre-existing CTE pathway. A lot of his curriculum was focused on industry certifications in Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as other programs. And he was able to really blend Scholastic Esports. A lot of his students were utilizing Adobe Photoshop to create different logos and brands for their clubs and teams, using Adobe Premiere to create videos to promote their upcoming tournament and such. So again, another example of different ways that you can really bring this to your community. And then you can see here there's also a couple modules that were developed by community-based organization fellows as well. So again, this is really about you participating in the community. So we do ask that you attend the kickoff in September. There will be opportunities to meet in person. Obviously, this is TBD based on everything that's happening in the world at the moment. But we're hoping to facilitate a potential in-person event for all of our fellows to get together. The monthly PLC virtual meetings, Flipgrid monthly challenges that are centered around particular topics, which I'll dive into in a minute here. Again, collaborating with Scholastic Fellows, that's the more that you put into this community, the more that you'll get back. And I think the biggest collaboration that we've seen across the group, is really just that exchange of ideas through the PLCs, through our Flipgrid communities. And then ultimately, really empowering you all to become the leaders within your community. So if there are opportunities for you to get out there and participate in live streams, interviews, webinars, publishing blog posts, we're 100% here to support you through that journey. And just some examples of some of the other Scholastic Fellows that have done this. I know that Tyler Hahn and Ryan Friedrich participated in the NACAD conference this last year. Jody Mahoney presented her work at IdeaCon. Tyler Hahn, out of the Public Library, presented at the PLA in Nashville. Renee Barge, Peter Melton, as well as Chris Aviles presented at FETC this year. And then JD Williams presented at the ASTE virtual conference this year. And then you'll see here that both Chris Aviles and James Wood had opportunities to publish in e-school news guides. So again, these are all opportunities that emerge throughout your participation. And really, I'm here to support you through that process and connect you with these opportunities. I think one of the biggest questions that I get from a lot of the fellows that have engaged, throughout this process is how much time do you think this is going to require? So I've tried my best to really outline what this looks like. I think quarterly we have assignments around your implementation plan, the curriculum module, and then the capstone project. For monthly, there are the PLC calls as well as Flipgrid challenges. And then bi-weekly, we really want you to check in either with a Scholastic mentor or myself, as well as participate in the Discord community. There will be multiple single events that kind of happen throughout the year, one being the potential in-person event, the end of the year celebration, and obviously any participation in any sort of local sort of conferences, streams, webinars, etc. And we've calculated this to be approximately between 100 to 200 hours. And one of the comments that one of the fellows said is, don't think of this as extra hours per se to the work that you're doing. If you're already planning on implementing curriculum and in your classrooms, this really takes the bulk of that, right? So the time that you're spending developing this is really counting towards your participation in this program. Okay, so timeline, end of July is when the program application closes. The Scholastic Fellows will be selected at the end of August. And then starting in September, we'll have our kickoff call. And then from there, from October to June, will be the 8-month program. And you can see here that each month focuses on a specific sort of topic, with the first month sort of getting started and really coming up with your plan. The next month kind of around your successes and challenges. Next month around your curriculum. And it really just focuses on sort of the elements of you starting and completing your year through the program. And then you'll see towards the end of the year, it really is around your capstone or showcase, and then really celebrating all of the work that you all are doing. So this last year has been amazing. You can see here, these are our 2019 to 2020 NASEF Scholastic Fellows. There were 13 middle school and 11 high school fellows that participated in 11 states. And through our work collectively, we were able to impact over 1,200 students. So amazing work by them. I think all of them have implemented Scholastic Esports in their own unique way, dependent on their community, depending on their strengths. And really what we've learned is there is no one way to really make this work. And so we're excited to involve all of you to see what you can all come up with. And so for this program in particular, into the 2020-2021 year, our intention is actually to expand this internationally, tapping into many of the international partners that NASEF has worked with over the course of the last few years. And you can see here, we are targeting specific international partners through the UK, France, Israel, Mexico, South Africa, potentially Japan and Singapore as well. So this is a great opportunity to connect with educators globally. All right, so I did go through a lot of information. I'm sure that was a lot to kind of decompress here. I think the best way to really understand what this program is all about is to hear directly from one of our Scholastic Fellows. So I'd like to introduce Jean Kavanaugh, who was part of our 2019-2020 Scholastic Fellow Program. She is a teacher at Del Cerro Elementary in Mission Viejo. So Jean, do you want to share a little bit about your experience?
Sure. Well, so I saw one of the questions in there that you were an elementary, somebody was an elementary teacher and wanted to know if they could do this. I teach 6th grade, and a lot of the districts around us are 6, 7, and 8, so they are middle school, but I am still in an elementary situation. and it worked out. This was an in-school program. We used it not in place of, but in connection with our language arts program. And I'd have to say, I knew nothing from the very beginning. I'm not one of those people who sit and play video games, in the evening time when I come home. So I allowed my kids to help me through this, and I learned a lot from them. And I think they enjoyed having the knowledge and being able to think, I know more than my teacher. But I took that experience, and together we made this program work. And we had fun. By the time March came around and we were just about, at school, we were just about ready to set up a tournament, an intra-district tournament, but then we were sent home. So with the help of my son at home, who, does the video game thing, we were able to set up just a tournament through our school. And then by about the time that we were ready to invite other schools into our tournament, just like JD and Tyler did, our school year ended. So I have to say, I really enjoyed myself. I learned a lot, and I learned from the kids learned from me. I learned a lot from the other fellows. And I think that's the big thing is listening to what they have to say in their Flipgrid videos and taking their ideas and bringing them into your own curriculum. So I'm looking forward to this year, and would really wish that we were back in the classroom to really get this program going the way it should be going, and not like partially online type thing. So.
Thanks, Jean. I appreciate you kind of providing insight. I think, one of the beautiful things that's happening too with the program is that all of the Scholastic Fellow alumni will also have the opportunity to continue participating in these monthly calls. So we don't want Scholastic Fellows to go away. We really are bringing educators together and building a tight community around Scholastic Esports. So Jean will be present during those calls, as well as other Scholastic Fellows. So definitely excited to connect all of you. So thanks again, Jean.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I do want to make sure we have enough time for questions here. So really quickly, just in terms of next steps, I think the first thing would be to just go to that website URL, and thanks, Sam, for dropping that in the link here, in the chat here. If you go there, you can also just go directly to the nasef.org website and go under Learning. You'll find Scholastic Fellow Program. And just a quick reminder that everything is due at the end of the month. Once you click that Scholastic Fellow Program or go to that URL, you'll find right at the middle of that page, it says interested in becoming a NASEF Scholastic Fellow. You'll find both the PDF application packet, which includes all of the application questions, as well as all the information in this information session. And then you'll also see a link to the application portal, and you can go ahead and create an account. You can save your progress, but we also encourage you to utilize the PDF application packet to kind of come up with your answers to the application questions as well. So, it's up to you. So whenever you get a chance, go ahead and go to that URL and start that process. All right, so that was a lot of information to kind of dump through. Obviously, I'm sure there are plenty of questions, and I'm seeing some questions roll into the chat. So let's go ahead and open it up. Feel free to unmute yourself if you have a direct question you can ask. You can ask me, or you can also ask our Scholastic Fellow alumni here, Jean, as well.
Hi, can I go first? Any ladies? Anybody want to help? Exactly with the letter of support, I talked to my principal yesterday. What exactly do you need? Like a long letter of stating why, or just that he's aware of the situation and he supports it?
Yeah, so the letter of support is really just, showing that they are aware of what the program is, that they're aware of the fact that you are going to be participating in the program from this time to this time. So they're aware of the time commitment that you will be, contributing to this program. And then that's pretty much it. As long as they state that and it's signed, then you're all good to go. Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself. No need to raise your hand. Yep.
So to clarify, do you guys have the curriculum that you're giving us, or are we creating this curriculum on our own?
Both. So we do have the NASEF integrated curriculum to provide as a basis for you, as well as all of the curriculum modules that the Scholastic Fellows have put together. So that'll serve as inspiration for you to implement in your program. But we also encourage you to take that and really uniquely design it for your particular program. And so then that way, you know, because every school is different, every school has different access to materials, a different population and demographic. So we really want to see, you know, kind of what you've done in your particular program, because I'm sure that will help others as well.
And also, is there a specific game that people are doing the esports on, or is it open to the teacher's discretion?
That's a great question. So from NASEF, we're never prescriptive. We're always just additive to what you're doing. So I think the first question I would ask back to you is, what are your students playing? What are they interested in, right? Because this really is about, you know, empowering our students to become leaders in their community. And so I think part of that question is, well, you know, what is it that they want to play? I think on the NASEF side, you know, we've supported multiple game titles. We have game titles within our competition, but I think really it's up to you and your community to decide what works best, right? Again, kind of tapping into the idea that not everyone has access to gaming PCs, right? Maybe you have only access to a Nintendo Switch. Gene, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what you've done since you've started from kind of ground zero?
Yes. So I had like full backing from my principal, and so we discussed what games we wanted to do and asked the kids as well, you know, what they have at home. And the Switch was by far the majority of the kids had. So we decided on Rocket League. And so we at school, for school, we bought 4 consoles and 4 monitors, 4 TVs. And so we had an in-school lab that we rotated the kids through. And because the Switch allows tournament play, you can set up tournament play through the Rocket League software. It was easy, real easy to set up tournaments, private tournaments, and have the kids join in. And we use Classroom, you know, because at that point we were at home. And you can put all the information on Google Classroom and they connect through there. So, but again,
so
it's what you have available.
Hey, Jenny,
Exactly.
Most of us who have established programs here in Orange County, most of us use the Nintendo Switch as well.
Awesome, thanks for that. And again, you know, there's no one way. A lot of the Scholastic Fellows either had Nintendo Switches, some of them had gaming PCs, some of them had consoles. Again, it really is up to you and your students to decide what works best for your particular community. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns?
So I teach 5th grade. Now, if I wanted to do this as a 5th grade teacher at an elementary school, would I be eligible for this program?
Absolutely. I think, you know, as Jean said, she also works in an elementary school. We're really looking at expanding this. I think one of the strengths, you know, NASEF really started at the high school level, but now that, you know, we're seeing the benefits, you know, across the groups, middle school and community-based organizations obviously has, you know, gotten involved. So we'd love to see how it expands into the elementary context as well. And I think a lot of the middle school curriculum in particular can totally be adapted to upper elementary.
All right, perfect.
We also have our district, a couple of the middle schools also have an esports program. So my kids are excited to move up into the middle school and have experienced this already. So they're not feeling like they're, you know, as a new 7th grader being new to everything, they already have experience in this. And then of course, our high schools obviously have the programs. And so they're really going to have experience if they keep at it and get into the high school.
Hi.
I did see, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't know if this is a bird walking question or not, but I too have used Rocket League at my school with the Nintendo Switch and had great success. But a lot of our student body was really pushing for Mario Smash Brothers. Our Boys and Girls Club after school program uses that, and there's infinitely more buy-in for that. Has there any, have you heard of any parent pushback against in middle school using Smash Brothers at all?
Not in particular. I think Smash Brothers is a relatively innocent game. There's, you know, while it is fighting per se, the characters are all relatively innocent. Yeah, I haven't seen any pushback per se.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. I do want to address a question here in the chat by Robert here. He asks, at the high school level, do you need to be a language arts teacher to be in the program? He says, I teach science. You do not have to be an English language arts teacher. Like I said, we had a couple fellows that were in high school that were teaching social science. We had a couple teachers that were primarily focused on the CTE pathways, so they weren't English language arts teachers. And then obviously, if you're a science teacher, I would love to see how science and Scholastic Esports could blend together as well. So yeah, this is really the opportunity and the space to innovate. So I definitely welcome, you know, any high school teacher. All right, we are a couple minutes over here, but I do want to double check. Are there any other questions? Yep. Oh, you're muted there.
Yeah, thank you. Do you mind hanging out after maybe everybody else hangs up? I just want to hear what you guys do at OCDE with esports.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
All right.
All right, any other last questions before we wrap this up?
I got a real quick question.
Sure.
My name is James. I teach over in DC, middle school and high school level. And currently we're running a program where we work with, you know, some young adults too. So like from the age of 18 to 21. Like, are there any restrictions to the type of games they can play? Or like, do they still have to sign the waiver and everything too? How would that work?
Yeah, again, you know, NASEF isn't prescriptive. We don't tell you what games to play per se, but it really is up to you and your community to decide what's appropriate. Let me mute you here for a second with the background noise. Yeah, it's up to you and your community to decide what's appropriate. You know, because not every community, some communities may not be okay with Smash Brothers, right? But from what we've seen, it's been okay. You know, I believe like one of our Scholastic Fellows, his community was okay with playing a little bit of Rainbow Six, you know, and that may not be appropriate for your particular community. So we leave that up to you. Obviously, you know, we definitely recommend staying true to the ESRB ratings, as well as any sort of common sense media ratings that you can back that up with. And it really does take that sort of conversation with your community, with your parents, with your admin to determine what works best. Because I definitely don't want you to go on this journey, you know, start with first-person shooters, and the next thing you know, your admin just shuts you down, and that really just kills the whole vibe and prevents you from moving forward with this amazing opportunity. So definitely have a conversation with, you know, all of your stakeholders involved.
And
right.
To add on to that, Jarrell, I would say also sometimes our Scholastic Fellows move on to create NASEF Clubs. And NASEF Clubs do have their own set of requirements to create those. So right now it currently is restricted to ages 14 to 18, but that will be opening up to middle school at some point, sometime. But right now our competitions and our tournaments are only high school age. So if you're a fellow and you have, you know, elementary students involved, middle school, or even above high school, you know, the work that you do with them, you should still continue with it, but there are just some events of hours that they would not be allowed to be registered for.
Okay, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then second question. So,
Sure.
like you said, with the high school students, we kind of helped get Play VS up in DC last year, and so I don't know if you know Play VS is basically another sport, I guess, business, to where, you know, they get the high school kids to, you know, playing, and their game was Rocket League as well as Smite and League of Legends. And it went pretty good throughout DC. You know, we definitely needed more kids, more schools. We probably had we recruited 35, but when the season actually started, we probably only had, sorry, I'm out here working out a little bit. We probably only had 8 that actually was able to compete against each other. And mainly, you know, that was due to the accessibility to technology. You know, whether that was the actual systems, the IT guy trying to set up the computers at the schools, you know, different things like that. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is the IT, you know, I guess set up pretty easy, you know, for the kids that's trying to get it for the high school level?
I think that's a great question. So, oh, Sam, do you want to take that?
I was just going to say, it really depends on what tournaments you're participating in. There are some tournaments out there that have a really low entry barrier, but sometimes when it's really easy for them to join, that sometimes comes at a cost of the legitimacy of the tournament itself. So in the example of Playversus, I know that they also have a software associated with it. So that's going to add a little bit more IT concerns versus some other tournament operators out there that, you know, you can play from home, so you don't need to worry about setting them up from school. So it varies. I think there are ways to make it really up and running, but it just really depends on that game and also what you're participating in, if you need to have extra software to cover it.
Okay. And how many?
From the NASEF standpoint, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask about the number of schools that's in a league or in a tournament with each other.
For us, we try, if we're going to do a league style tournament, we require at least 16 teams. And right now it's actually getting closer to 32 teams that is needed to create a really, a legitimate tournament where the students actually feel like they got their worth in their play. So to your point, if there was only 8 teams in that school, that is a really small tournament. But if you were doing a single day tournament, that's a great amount of teams. So if you want to collaborate with other
That was just 8 different schools. Because we had 32 schools, and you know, of course, each school had about 2 teams themselves. It was just that when it came to the actual IT setup, it was no luck.
Yeah, so James, I appreciate the questions, but I do want to be respectful of everyone's time here.
Feel
free to connect with me. Feel free to connect with me. I'm going to put my information here. But I do want to emphasize, as you're thinking about sort of the competition side, ultimately, I think this group, what we're really emphasizing is the scholastic and academic pieces. So while competing is great, and I think that's, you know, a great incentive for a lot of the students, we're really focused on emphasizing sort of the career potential behind Scholastic Esports and looking at those potential pathways for the students. So, you know, competition is great, but I definitely encourage you to also explore all the different roles within the esports ecosystem. All right, so thank you again, everyone, for joining today. Thank you, Jean, for sharing your experience in the program. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can reach out at info@esportsfed.org. Oh, I need to change that. That's nasef.org. But you can also reach out directly to me, and I have my email down there below in case you have any questions. So very excited for you to be a part of this community, and I look forward to all of your applications.
Jarrell, can we hang out for a second?
Yep, no problem. Feel free to drop off, and if you want to stick around.